got a whole new report from Moody's Investor Services today on the West Africa's Monetary Union banking sector as the central bank, the BCIO, also tinker with interest rates. What does it mean for the banks in that region? We'll brief you that tomorrow. Let's move on. Kenya's central bank raised the country's headline interest rate by 0.5% to 13% on Tuesday in a move that was seen as targeting higher inflation of prices of food and non-food items in East Africa's biggest economy. Surprising rate hike on Tuesday was expected to place Kenyan borrowers under further pressure, even as the central bank says it is prepared to redeem $2 billion in Eurobond due in June. Let's take a listen to Kamal Tuje, the governor of the central bank in Kenya.
We see that in the fourth quarter of 2023, we are, I mentioned this a bit earlier, we are projecting a growth of 5.8 in the fourth quarter of last year. And in the past, we have been fairly close if you just look at the previous estimates. And so if we get growth of 5.8 in the fourth quarter, then we should be able to achieve the 5.6% growth for the year as a whole. Just examples of agricultural performance, we see maize for the year 2023 to have increased by almost 30%. Wheat also to have increased quite significantly by 62.6%. Rice struggled last year because of the floods. Beans, Irish potatoes, sorghum, all of those displaying significant increases compared to the previous year. In terms of credit to the private sector, this has been trending up since March 2023. Here, what we have tried to show is in blue is the overall credit growth, which we have adjusted for the exchange rate depreciation. And the lines in the columns in yellow are just the overall credit expansion without any adjustment to the exchange rate depreciation. And you can see, just looking at the overall credit expansion, in December, it increased from 13.2 to 13.9. But also, once you strip out the exchange rate depreciation, there still was an increase in credit to the private sector from 8% to 8.3%. Again, this is just a demonstration of credit expansion to the manufacturing sector, to the trade sector, transport and communication, increased by 20.8%, and also consumer durables. There was some expansion of banking sector credit to the private sector. On the overall balance of payments, just to note that the projected current account deficit for 2023 is roughly $4.3 billion, and that we expect most of that to be funded by the capital and financial account, and to have an overall balance of payments deficit of 982. And going forward for this year, we do expect a widening of the current account, at least in terms of dollars, and to have a current account deficit of about $4.9 billion, and to be mostly funded by inflows of capital, and to have just a residual deficit of $111 million. Looking at the current account in relation to GDP, that has narrowed quite significantly from 2022 when it was 5%, and last year we saw it narrow to 3.9%. We'll come to the reasons for the narrowing. Going forward, we expect the current account to remain around 4% and to remain around that for the medium term. And we think that at this level, this is a sustainable level of the current account, It will be supported by the fiscal consolidation that is taking place. And over the next 3 to 4 years, and we'll see that later in one of the slides, the fiscal deficit is supposed to decline from 5.6% last year to roughly around 3% in the next 3 to 4 years, and that reduction in the fiscal deficit should support maintaining this low current account deficit at around that level. Of course, we expect, because of some of the efforts the government is taking, we do expect an increase in foreign direct investments. And although foreign direct investments are relatively low now, around 0.5% of GDP, we do expect that to pick up. And over the medium term, we would expect that this current account deficit would be funded significantly by foreign direct investments, and therefore just leave the loans and portfolio inflows to fund the rest. So again, looking at the performance of exports in 2023, there was a reduction by 2.2%. This reduction was rather broad-based, and the only items that recorded positive growth were the mineral fuels, which increased by 10.9%. And we also had some positive developments in chemicals and related products, particularly medical and pharmaceuticals. And there we had a growth of about 2.8%. Manufactured goods also recorded positive growth of about 11.3%. And this was mainly driven by cement exports, but cement exports as well as iron and steel exports, and this was mainly to the regional markets. In regard to imports of goods, there was a reduction by 11% from 19.2 billion to 17.1 billion. And again, this was really broad-based, with only food and live animals recording a positive growth of 13.2%. But otherwise, all other categories, the chemicals and related products, manufactured goods, machinery and transport equipment, all registered significant declines.